Greetings and salutations. It's Tuesday, June 22, and let's take a tour, a midsummer tour of our backyard at Grimston Road. Just entering the backyard. In the bed to the right, we have cherry tomatoes and asparagus. Season for asparagus is over now, so what you see are just asparagus fronds. And also garlic that's been growing here. And compost bins, this one's empty. This one is just starting out. And this one is now sitting idle, but I thought I had some extra potatoes, just scraps, and I've thrown them in here, and we're going to see if I can get potatoes growing on top of last year's compost. Oh, it's mid-June and I have some tomato seedlings. What happened is I was too late planting tomato seeds. Didn't plant these until May 8. It was much too late. And eventually I gave up and I went and bought tomatoes that were at least this big and planted them. That's probably 3 weeks ago. And these eventually all sprouted, and now I have an extra, I don't know, 24, 30 tomato plants I have to figure out what to do with. I can't just throw them all in the compost. Future challenge. Down here, let's just zoom down into the shade, hopefully. We have carrots. And I was very careful this year too, instead of just throwing seeds on the ground and scuffing them with my hand, as I very carefully planted them, and we'll see how well they do this year. Haven't had much success with tomatoes or carrots so far in this yard. So let's take a look at the yard. It's getting to be lush. Let's start at the front, right next to me. These are peonies. The white ones, let's get a nice one here. The white ones, this peony plant actually came from the lake at some time when we were expanding our deck at the back of the cottage. I came across a peony plant that the prior owner said had never blossomed. So we brought it to the city and put it in the sun. And it's been faithfully blossoming now probably for 30 years. And since then I've added in extra, lots more peonies. This is common milkweed. It's invasive, but I'll say this: as long as I keep it in the boundaries of the beds, I'm okay with it growing. It smells very nice once it blossoms, the purple blossoms, and they do attract butterflies, monarch butterflies. So as long as it's inside the boundaries of the bed, I'll keep it. If it starts to grow outside, I do pull it up straight away. I'm going to turn to the right here. This is just a bush. However, if you you get up close and you turn over almost any branch, these are called haskaps. They taste similar to blueberries. And they're always very carefully hidden. Right now I'm having problems finding some. Here, let's try this one. There we go. So this bush, actually, which starts over here and goes all over here, is just full of haskaps at the moment. Need to be picked within the next week or so. Start to get some beets growing. I didn't thin these yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to clip out the least productive of each pair and see how they go. There are native plants in here, though I have to be very careful in weeding this, because there are things that I believe are weeds, and then eventually, like this, if I can find it in the, there we go. This is purple prairie clover, and it will be a neon purple when it blossoms in about 2 weeks. The noise you hear is I've got a soaker hose going that runs by, not that grape, but the other 3 grapes that are at the bottom of each of these stakes, and then through this bed. And what I wanted to show here, and this is these purple flowers, this is swamp milkweed, and oh, let's go right here. We'll zoom in here. There we go. And these are caterpillars of monarch butterflies. And the common milkweed I showed earlier hasn't done too much. I don't see them on there, see the caterpillars on there that much. But here, Felix and Claire and Lynn were over on Sunday, and we discovered each of these plants had at least one caterpillar on them. Won't quite focus. So there are shorter plants in here as well, and I'm letting what I typically would have perceived as weeds, I'm letting them grow because I believe that they are just developing, or milkweed, swamp milkweed that is just developing. This bed, which is looking fairly blank right now, has dahlias at the front and canna lilies at the back. A little bit late planting this. This is planted no more than 2 weeks ago. But we'll see how they do. The soil for this is supposed to be for these plants is supposed to be fairly warm, and it's been quite cool here until recently. So we'll see. I have to watch my time here with the battery today. Should be fine. 17 minutes to go. This is a new bed down here. 2 beds. 2 areas. Here I planted, these are sweet peas, and they're just plugging away along. We'll sort of get them a little bit taller, and they will get into this rustic obelisk that I built from scrap wood earlier this year. Here on this side is the squash bed. I was potentially watering it a bit too much earlier, which is why these zucchinis, 4 of them, 1, 2, 3, and 4, look a bit yellow. So I've curtailed the watering in here, and I'll have to be a bit more careful with that. Back in here, which is now in the shade, is my apple tree, which didn't have blossoms on this year, so I'm really not sure. I have to work at this as to why my apple tree did not have only had 1 blossom on it this year. These are beans, green beans, and they're plugging along quite well. This is a new bed, and we'll see how they do. And back here in the corner are potatoes. They're doing fine. Let's pan this way. The poppies are finished about a week ago. There were 2 types, white ones and pink ones. These were the pink, and they were the most recent blossoming ones. And these over here were the white ones, and blossomed, oh gosh, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Through the arch. I've made another frame in order to string up tomatoes. There are a dozen large tomatoes here. The other tomatoes I showed you were cherry tomatoes. These are larger ones, size of a fist, small fist. And I made, with the seeds you saw, there was also some melons in there. This area is just weeds at the moment. And this may be where I plant those 2 melons. There's 2 melons that have sprouted. And then of course I have more tomato seeds, tomatoes, and I don't know how I will handle them. The pink flowers are called rockets, and they're actually invasive. But as I look here from this angle, I can see that there are little flies in them. So that's good as pollinators. And the color is very nice. So as long as they stay in that area, I'll let them stay. I don't know what this white flower is called here on this fern-like bush. More peonies. This is an experiment that I've done for this year. Used to have tomatoes in here, but they just didn't do well. It was too hot. What I've added in here this year are strawberries, and they certainly appear to be doing quite well. There's 10 strawberry plants here. One somebody dug out, so there's 9. And surrounding them, I had planned to put seeds in here, but I don't really see anything sprouting that looks interesting. So I went out and actually purchased alyssum plants, which has a nice smell, nice fragrance. And I put them between the strawberries. So we'll see how that works out this year. Roses. This year I've started to understand how to have roses grow up an arch. These are The ones on either side of the arch are supposed to be climbing roses, and the way one gets climbing roses to blossom is to bend the branches to be horizontal, or in this case I can make them at probably 45-degree angles. And both sides, since I've done that, are doing quite well, blossom-wise. The fountain is performing very well this year. In prior years, the pump would plug up all the time. This year, it's just doing very well. There's been very little growth in the water, and that could be because it's been cool this year. Now, where this obelisk is, in prior years there was a goji berry here, and finally this year it's been so scrawny, and I don't really use the goji berries. Occasionally I would come out and eat a couple, but it just wasn't worth it. So this spring I got hard-hearted and cut it out. It had been struggling. It had been struggling. Welcome to my grumpy garden. This is Jacob's ladder. This plant has been growing in this location for many years now. It's done quite well. So, there you have it. Oh, let's look at the pergola. These are grapes, and I've now got a routine as to how to prune them. And well, we had 2 pails of grapes last year. This year I anticipate we'll have at least that many. And look at the shade. Where now, as you can see, how this is full sun, but if you look on the deck, there's dappled shading all the way now to the door. So the canopy of the pergola, the canopy of the grapes is now closed, and it's very pleasant to sit there because it is in the shade, certainly for the majority of the day. It's very pleasant to sit there. So, there you have it. This is another grape, by the way. I'm just playing with it along this fence. Just a nice green cover. In this obelisk, I have 2 clematis that are, they're doing fine. They just have not taken off like I had expected they would. We'll see. I think they really have to work to get established. I did plant nasturtium seeds in the bottom, and you can see some down here. You can see the leaves. And the only thing I realized, the nasturtiums are orange whenever they do flower, and the clematis, whenever it flowers, is pink. So not exactly a great color choice here. And I have more nasturtiums in here too, and here as well. So there you have it. Tuesday, June the 21st. 2021. Greetings and salutations. Bye for now.